I thought it was the dumbest thing that we ever did.
Are you serious?
Yes,
no, it
and
turned
I'm a
out
bigger
really
Power.
good.
I'm a bigger Ninja Turtle fan than I am Power Ranger fan. And I was like, damn, I love the Ninja Turtles. Why the hell are we doing something with the Ninja
No,
Turtles?
but okay, after watching it, after actually seeing it all together.
Why the hell is there a girl turtle?
I know. I'm not against like.
Where was Splinter?
Well done, everybody. My name is Christopher Kevin Lee. I was with Ranger Creators, one of the best season ever, Power Rangers in space. I did not want to be a Power Ranger. Not even a little bit. I grew up and, that's how much I know about Power Rangers. I didn't even know I had. He's still alive. Oh, no.
Hey guys, before you watch my Power Morphicon Express coverage, please take the time to visit Christopher Kama Lee's mom's GoFundMe page. I mean, his mom is currently fighting stage 2 lung cancer. And remember guys, Jason David Frank lost his own mom to cancer. So guys, please share and donate whatever you can, guys. Help me raise more awareness of this, guys, and hope that one day we can successfully find a way to cure cancer ASAP, guys, because no one deserves that, guys. Please, guys. Thank you, and may the power protect you all.
I was thinking there's no way that he's here for Toy Wizards. Right. Does anybody actually know what Toy Wizards is?
All right.
Yay!
You get a prize.
Yeah.
That's right. Come see me afterwards. We have a prize at the front table.
So, since we have a captive audience, I guess it's just a free commercial.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Welcome to Winging It, the panel.
No, you don't admit that to them. Okay, so you guys, thank you for coming not only to our panel today, but to Power Morphicon Express. The four of us here comprise a group called Toy Wizards, toy-wizards.com, which is a toy news website. Part of the reason this isn't just your average fan panel, all of us here are actually taking a welcome break because we all are Power Morphicon employees, and you guys actually have the man and showrunner himself, Scott Zillner, here.
I would just make one correction. Everyone here is staff. I don't pay people.
All of us are here because we believe in the power of Power Rangers.
I have the same contract here as the WWE gives its wrestlers.
Indentured servitude.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we are all very passionate about is toys. And I'm sure a lot of you here are toy collectors. Everyone loves their own little niche of toys. And with that, the four of us are different aspects of toy collecting. Lauren likes robots.
I like robots, specifically Megazords. That's where I come in. Yeah.
Let's go down and like introduce ourselves, like just each.
All right, like what we do for this. Okay, so my name is Lauren Stone. I'm the editor-in-chief of Toy Wizards. I also have a pop culture website called Pop Lurker. I'm also Sci-Fi's important toy news toy journalist. So I also design the content for Toy Wizards, and my primary toy collecting is Megazords.
Yep. And it's hard to follow up with like such a perfect
Such a mother of dragons. Yeah.
So I just have to go overboard.
Go for it. Put it on the resume.
Yeah. I'm Scott Zillner. I am the promoter of Power Morphicon Express with Jason David Frank. Me and Lauren are doing a new show called ToonCon in Pasadena, California, about animation. Also, I do Robo Toy Fest, Brick Boutique, Sac Toy Con, Pasadena Comic Con, and Japan World Heroes, which is another convention I'm very passionate about, where we bring in Japanese culture, Japanese live action heroes, tokusatsu, Super Sentai, and kaiju. And it's a sister show to Power Morphicon, where Power Morphicon is really Power Rangers, and I always try to give you a couple Super Sentai actors. If you guys haven't seen them, go over there and say hello to the Japanese. They did come from Japan just to meet you, just to meet American fans. The Japan World Heroes show is really about the other side of that. You guys know Power Rangers, you may know Super Sentai, but do you know the Metal Heroes? Do you know Star Sheriff? Do you know Beetleborg and what they were in Japan, or Ozyman, right? The flying mop detective guy. I love it. That kind of stuff is what the show's about, to really teach you about Ultraman and know your Ultramans and how you pronounce the different Ultramans.
There's a lot of Ultraman.
There's a lot of Ultramans. The current show is Ultraman RB. Yeah, I'm not going to say how they pronounce it in Japan.
You sound like a rube.
Yeah, that's not how you pronounce it. Also, on top of that, in the toy industry, I'm actually a professional toy prototype painter and designer. I have designed toys. I have done painting in that industry for almost 15 years. I have painted hundreds and hundreds of different figures, just hundreds of wrestlers. I used to work for Jax, and then later on when Mattel got the license, I worked for Mattel. And I did a lot of the early series for Mattel and the later series for Jax. I was the main guy that painted most of those figures that you might have in your toy box. So I do have a very efficient history with toy painting and prototyping. And given now my overblown resume,
What do you
Yeah, you actually did surpass Lawrence there.
Yeah.
He's like, Lauren, that was a really good entrance.
Scott, you gotta tell people what your preferred
Yeah, what do you collect?
habits are.
I'm an uber collector, meaning I just don't collect one little thing. Like Lauren likes Megazords or robot Megazords and maybe one
I
or
have
two
a couple
other things.
Transformers. I have yeah, exactly.
I am the overboard collector. I have entire rooms dedicated to just G.I. Joe toys. And then another room of Japanese toys. And then another section of Machinders, which are giant, expensive Japanese robots. And then I have an arcade collection. I have arcade games. I have video game collections. I have all the retro consoles all hooked up to one TV, so I can play anything from Atari to Xbox is on one TV. I have collections of model kits. I love model kits. I just collect everything. And whenever I do collect it, I collect it in excess. I have, in a closet, I have 5 game closets. Yeah, 5 game closets of board games. One of those closets has a game, is shelf dedicated to sheets. I collect retro sheets, so I have an entire thing of sheets. So it's not just one thing I collect everything. I'm very passionate about robots, Japanese robots, G.I. Joe toys, comic books, that kind of stuff. So I'm an all-over collector and a toy historian on top of that.
Which is basically a nice way of saying, I'm a hoarder.
But it's an organized hoard.
It's an organized hoard. It's not one of those ones where you go in and you find like a dead cat that he didn't
I wouldn't put it past.
Yeah, I do throw things away. I'm not a hoarder.
Oh.
And it's organized for my life.
How's that broken camera I gave you?
It's still broken. It's on the repair shop.
Thank you.
6 to 8 months, you get that back.
Okay, I'm Ricky DeWeese. I'm a content creator for the site. I'm also an illustrator and designer. For years, I have worked with Scott on all his various shows and conventions.
It's like a decade and a half now.
Yeah, it really is. So I'm always there to help him for any of his shows. I've been to every Morphicon, not by choice, but also by choice. I mean, they're fun. And so he can always depend on me to be there. I'm also a social media expert, and I help promote and advertise for all these shows as much as I can. So on the site, a lot of the times what you'll see me writing about is Transformers or reviews related to Transformers.
An incredible photography.
Incredible toy
If you see a really nice photo on the website, it's because Ricky did it. It wasn't me or Lauren. It was Ricky.
It definitely wasn't.
Yeah, mine
It
are
was
repulsive.
done.
Mine are like, oh, that's pretty. And Ricky's like, no, let me show you how to love it.
You know, every toy picture I take, it's like, why is your bearded dragon in this picture?
Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that.
So, like a lot of the panel up here, I grew up in a time where we were kind of in the golden age of toys. And specifically, the US was being just barraged with just the golden age of Japanese toys as well. So my main focus is really on vintage Japanese toys and robots, Transformers especially, because I was the perfect age when the show was on the air, and it really influenced my collecting habits. And I also had a very special best friend from Japan when I was in first grade. And to be able to go over to his house and be immersed in that culture for the first time, and to be immersed in a culture that wasn't, just your American culture for the first time at such a young age, was great. And to be able to go into, a bedroom and see a toy box that was filled with all these robots and superhero toys and things that were made out of die-cast metal and, were firing missiles directly into your eyes, was really something that I wasn't familiar with. And I saw all these, great things come out of that friendship, and it lasted with me till today, really, because I'm still in love with that stuff. And I still get so excited about Japanese culture and robots and vintage toys, and just to see people at these conventions that are also very into that gives me a nice, happy feeling, because in a lot of ways that toy collecting culture is alive and well at these shows, and it just really warms my heart when I can either help give information on all the useless information that we might have.
And we have a lot of useless information.
And just help anyone with their, their collecting needs, or give them the information they need and point them in the right direction. So to tell you what my collecting habits focus on, it's definitely Transformers related at the moment. Outside of that, occasionally I'll come across some vintage Japanese robot that I've had an eye on for years and years, and if the price is right, then yeah, sometimes it's too good to pass.
I think that's a note we should make. When you do collect Japanese vintage robots, it's not like you can just go out to Walmart and buy Hound. We tried to do last night and failed.
Walmart failed.
Walmart
failed for sure.
It sometimes takes not just years. I can search for a toy for decades to buy one and not find a toy that I want for a decade, 10 years. I was trying to get some Orgus toys. Anybody knows what Orgus is? Other than the panel layers? Okay. All right, there we go. Someone knows. I wanted two very specific Orgus toys. They're different colors, Japan only release. And it took me 10 years. And I finally found them. But it took looking for 10 years, even looking in Japan. And it takes a long time sometimes to get exactly what you want.
And then sometimes your friends will make fun of you. Like yesterday, I got my built-in Astro Megazord, and I was like, "Ooh, I got a great price! I found it! Yay! This is one of my Grail items." And then they're like, "Let me tell you why this isn't awesome." But you have to be confident and move forward with your collecting. Never be ashamed.
Aaron.
My name is Aaron Sparrow. I'm a comic book writer and editor, and I contribute content to the Toy Wizards website. I'm a long-time toy collector. You started out just playing with toys as a kid, and then realized that it became an obsession. I really started collecting as an adult when my younger brother, I started buying things for him, and then I realized, well, some of these sales are amazing. Like back when KB Toys was in business, and you could buy Marvel Legends 3 for $10. They'd have these just amazing sales. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna start picking all this up. So I really got into collecting when Toy Biz was doing their X-Men figures. And then I started going back and just collecting things from my childhood. And much like Scott, I'm all over the place. I collect 3 3/4 Star Wars, back before they killed my love for it. I collect G.I. Joe. I collect Transformers, Marvel Legends, DC figures. Now, my obsession right now is just anything that's in 6-inch scale. In my mind, I am building a huge crossover universe. So if it's in scale, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna have Marvel Legends, I'm gonna have He-Man, I'm gonna have, Thundercats, I'm gonna have just anybody who fits into this idea that one day I'm just gonna have a huge room that's just a crossover of everything. really appeals to me. So that's kind of my obsession. I'm all over the place. I've got probably close to what Scott has, but not near as.
No, you don't.
I have three storage units filled with with toys, and I'm not talking the
cargo containers.
Yeah, I'm talking like the really big cargo container, like the 24 by 30 to the ceiling.
You also customize to an extent, don't you?
Yes, I customize action figures because even though I collect everything, they don't make enough. So, and they don't make everything I want, so.
Well, let's, one thing I want to talk about, because this is because we're at Power Morphicon, and so we do want to keep this in the, not just giant robots, but we do want to make sure that we pay attention to some Power Ranger toys. Let me pose this question to you guys. Doesn't matter what your expertise are with Power Ranger toys. You can apply this to Transformers as well, like Ricky. So the question is, we talked about vintage toys, whether that's 80s or 90s, depending on the show, and then we have toys that are on the shelf today. What meets your criteria for something that's super awesome? Like, for example, when the Legacy Proplicas started coming out, is that like, oh, they finally fixed it, or no, vintage is better? So I want you guys' opinion on toys in that neighborhood.
Well, vintage is always better, but and I do have quite a bit of knowledge for Power Rangers, at least on the Sentai end. At one point, I did have pretty much every single Sentai robot from 1979 to about 2005 or so, and then began to kind of narrow it down to my favorites, which is actually just like Muteki Shogun, the Shogun Megazord, which I now have maybe every single size of that robot that has been made, down to little Keshi to the full DX. So my knowledge of Sentai is there, and I still try to keep up, but what I love about the Sentai stuff is they really have never gone past the initial engineering. You're not seeing too much outside of maybe like the Solo Chogokin line. You're not seeing super articulated Sentai robots, even today. Everything just basically moves at the shoulders, and if you're lucky, you can probably move a leg up. And that's kind of just to fit an aesthetic that they have always had, and much like TV shows, they're going to be stuck in that aesthetic for life, I think. And I think that is a very Japanese thing, because if you look at it, Japan is always bringing back, their old robots. Even to this day, they're celebrating 40th, 50th anniversaries of these characters because they are so instilled in their culture.
Evangelion metal build.
Evangelion, Mazinger Z, Ultraman, they're all celebrating Godzilla. They're all celebrating these long anniversaries.
Today is in fact Gundam's 40th anniversary, April 7th.
Oh.
So Gundam is 40 years old.
Today's also the birthday of Darkwing Duck.
Of course.
If you want to just throw out random birthday information.
But was Darkwing Duck ever a mecha?
If we would have gotten to continue the comic book series, we had a story coming up where Darkwing and
Why are you
Fenton
wasting your time
had
on a panel? Go draw. What are you
I don't
doing here?
draw the
Who
book.
invited you?
I write the book. Solani draws the book. No, incidentally, if the book had continued, we had a Pacific Rim parody coming up where Darkwing and Fenton had to share a giant Gizmo Duck suit, and they had to become drift compatible.
You guys
Which we
have
would have
the
called something
inside
else.
information.
Yeah, because Darkwing hates Fenton, hates Gizmo Duck.
Scott, what are your feelings on it? Vintage versus today versus collecting.
I really have a hard time with modern toys. This line here, the Siege of, I think some of the new Transformers have been adequate.
Yeah.
I still really like to collect vintage toys. A lot of you guys here are fans of the Legacy collection that Bandai did, right? Yeah. Anyone loves the metal Bandai figures and whatnot? Yeah, that was me and Yoshi Nonika, and it took us 3 years with meetings in Bandai to push that. And same with how many of you guys have got the Mighty Morphin prop replica ones? The light up and everything? That was also me and Nonika. Nonika and I pushed in meetings with Bandai, back when Bandai was cool. And And to make prop replicas, they did not want to do it. As far as they were concerned, the vintage Morpher that you used to get, that was good. And I said, no, people really want this. They want it actual size, they want it metal, they want it to light up, they want to wear it on their suits, they want to wear it around town, they want to wear it to dinner and to weddings. That's what they want.
Wear it to my wedding.
And eventually they listened to me and Nonica. Nonica's the head designer of Bandai at the time with Bandai Plex. He's the guy that designed the original Megazord. He does the main shirt art for Morphicon when we have the giant art, that's done by Nonica. And our passion for that got you those toys made. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes you don't see, and that's where we try to make something modern to be better than vintage. And luckily the Legacy collection really took off. You guys love the Legacy robots, you love the Legacy prop replicas, and we went an extra mile to make them better than what you used to be able to get. So in that aspect, the modern Legacy is better than vintage. But for most of the part, if I go to a store, I want to buy a vintage toy, it's better than a modern.
Well, let me take this premise and pose it to everyone in here.
No, wait, I have something
Oh,
to
you
say.
thoughts? All right, please extend your story.
I'm going to be
And then I'm going to open a question to everybody. Go ahead.
on many lines. Like let's just take G.I. Joe for example, when they started doing the 30th anniversary collection and then moved into Pursuit of Cobra. A lot of those replaced my desire to ever have the vintage figures, to hunt the vintage figures again.
At the same point, I won't buy any new G.I. Joes, and I have a G.I. Joe tattoo on my arm if you ever wondered. I only buy vintage Joes or O-ring Joes because I do not like the aesthetics of the modern Joes.
Yeah, see, I love that. For me, it's all about posability and playability, and since those are more,
I want that classic
more
look
posable.
on an action figure.
I collect the vintage vehicles because there's so many vintage vehicles that never made their way into the modern collection, and vehicles and play sets, they just don't. Vintage is always better because we lived through the golden age of getting giant plays. When your parents were expected to buy you a 7-foot aircraft carrier to stick in your room, or the giant Defiant shuttle playset, which you beat me to, and I still burns.
Both of those are in my G.I. Joe room I mentioned earlier.
All right, so let me quickly, all right, so 2 things for you guys. For those of you who collect Power Ranger toys, by a show of hands, who specializes in the action figures? Who specializes in props and morphers? Who collects the Megazords? Yes. Okay, so bearing all of that in mind, let's talk about the transition from the Bandai toys, the Bandai Spawn toys, to Hasbro, because we're going to have new product on the shelf for the first time in forever. So if you guys want to raise your hand, I'll call out on you. Who is starting to collect the Hasbro stuff? Do you have any thoughts or anything you want to add verbally to you?
Yeah, so I actually do review a lot of the toys on YouTube as well. And I think Hasbro has done a really good job of doing the aesthetic of Power Rangers a bit better. Because I know a lot of people's complaints with older figures is that they're kind of too rough and have that American superhero look. I think the 6-inch basic figures got that nice lit down appeal with better paint apps than some of the Ninja Steel stuff. Of course, we're just in the figures. I don't know how the Megazords are going to come out, but I think as far as the figures are right now, they're pretty good. Not all the articulation is there, but considering this is Hasbro's first shot at it, I think it's a good.
Here's something to put in there. For many years, I worked with Bandai Development and Bandai America as an advisor. And with the toys, I just begged them to put more paint apps on stuff. And they just, cost-wise for Bandai, they could not do it to make price points. And part of that is Walmart, Toys R Us, Target have very strict rules about what's going to go on the shelf and how much it's going to cost. And Megazords is a point where a price point has to be $24 to $29.
Not like the $60 ones at the end of the Spawn era.
It has to be, period. You cannot make a toy that's $60 like we what was the last great Saban toy that was metal, so huge and heavy. It hit me on the head at that one show. Remember the box fell down and hit me on the head? It was so heavy.
Yeah, well,
It was the last all-metal Megazords.
I know up until about the Galaxy.
Get a man.
Oh, the Ginga Man.
Yeah,
yeah. So, but in America, they cut costs on the Ginga Man stuff.
But that was the last one where it was that was the last wave of Japanese toys that came over to America for Power Rangers. They were the same thing.
Yeah,
After that
you
point,
just
they started dumbing them down.
insert the insert and put it in a new American box and ship it out. And
You had metal toys at
Yeah.
actual size, actual scale. And the complaint that we hear from a lot of you is like, you love the Megazords, but the American ones don't look right. They don't have the paint apps, they don't have the articulation. You come over to my booth and you buy the Japanese ones. Thank you. And that's because they would not do it. They swore up and down that no one would pay more than $30 for a toy. Walmart won't pay more than $30 for a toy. What we got pushed was, who remembers at Toys R Us, they had 2 years you could buy the Japanese toys in Japanese boxes.
I bought the figure arts.
Well, no, not just figure arts, but the Megazords.
Ah,
That was me.
nice.
That
Thank you.
that got me. I said, just put a sticker on it. Put a sticker on it that says Power Rangers, and put it on the shelf.
And what they ended up doing is basically just putting a slip cover.
A slip cover, and it said, "This is a Megazord. We swear, it's $100." And they sold it. Thank you. They bought. You guys bought them. It worked, and then they quit. Bandai's like, "Oh well, we're not really making money on that. We're going to go and tool entire new Megazords that suck." And I'm like, "You have the right toys. Just give it out there to the fans." So it was a lot of fight. With Bandai for quite a long time to get that stuff made.
And those decisions are always interesting because tooling is so expensive. So tooling a new toy is far more expensive.
And yet they still rather tool a new toy and make a crappy one than give you a Japanese one that's good. Now the last year of Bandai, they were doing it opposite. Now America was making toys for both, with the exception of the Megazord. That was where you actually had Japanese figures that were all buff, they're superhero American toys in Japan, and they just looked at him like, what is it?
So going off of that, that's a good place for my question, and I'm going to ask this to you guys. So coming up from Hasbro is the Power Rangers Lightning Collection, which according to the pictures, look pretty nice. I mean, you can't really say until we're touching them and looking at them.
Hasbro photoshops their images
Hasbro
heavily.
Okay, well,
Heavily. I've done painting for them, and then I see the photo, and it doesn't look like my work at all.
So with that, the way those toys are posed, they're photographed in a way that they want you to believe these are going to be as high quality as like SH Figure Arts, but they're a much lower price point. What do you think of that kind of emulation? I'm asking you guys.
This is literally these two guys here, because it's Marvel Legends. We're getting Power Rangers Marvel Legends.
Right. Yeah.
So I defer to your guys' judgment on this.
I would say Hasbro is doing some of their best work they've done in years right now with the 6-inch scale. If you look at Star Wars and you look at Marvel Legends, they've gotten to a point where their production process, they're meeting the quality that the fans want, and they're meeting the price point that all the retailers want. You're seeing things like the facial mapping, print technology.
Ant-Man looks great.
Yeah, so all the Star Wars characters, even the vintage Star Wars characters, you're getting a Leia that looks like Leia. You're getting a Han that looks like Harrison Ford. You're getting
an Admiral Holdo that you don't want.
When is the Hayden Christensen coming?
His figure is actually very expensive. It's
Really?
the one Anakin they've done.
wow.
It goes for like $100 right
Good
now.
thing I'm just joking.
right.
There we go.
So
There's the lightning figure on the phone there.
Right. So with the Lightning collection coming up, you're going to see all those things implemented into the Power Rangers brand for the first time. You're going to get extra hands and heads, and you're going to get the facial printing. You're going to get super articulated figures that look like they're just a man in a suit. They're not going to be overly buff superhero types. You're also going to get a bunch of villains. So it's very much a collector's baseline, and it is very much going to appeal to a wide audience of fans.
I do believe we have a question up there. He's desperately waving us down. You have to speak up. His question is, a lot of people really wanted the Shogun Megazords in the Legacy Collection, but they never came out. He also wanted Serpentera. will Hasbro make those bigger toys? We really have to see what they do. They haven't announced it. They do know people want those. I was there for those last bit of Bandai, and it was a request. I know Nonica did design. But when they went through those troubles and when they lost the license, there's no incentive for them to release those in Japan if they can't release them across the world.
I think you are going to get them from Hasbro because the game has kind of changed. You're not seeing things necessarily go to big box stores anymore. I think this is why Hasbro started Hasbro Pulse. I don't know if you guys are Star Wars fans. They basically crowdfunded a Jabba's sail barge for your 3 3/4 figures last year.
A multi-million-dollar company had to crowdfund a toy.
Yes, but they sold 5,000 of them, which is what they needed to make to do the tooling and to make the toy. If they had just pumped that out into a Toys R Us before they went under, or Walmart's they're not gonna stock a Jabba's sail barge. They're never gonna do that. So we're kind of entering a time where these toy companies can make very specific items, very large items that aren't going to go out to big box retailers. They're going to be available to you. I mean, how many of us here are dropping $600 on Snake Mountain when it goes live?
Yeah, they've got my money.
I'm gonna crowdfund for mine.
So hopefully we'll see some giant Megazords.
That being said, what's the upward limit you're going to pay for a toy?
How bad do I want it?
Yeah.
I mean,
How pretty is it?
yeah, I
How
mean,
much
like,
space does it take up?
I know, we're getting Megazords that are, be $100, $200, but where do you call the line? Like Java Sail Barge was 500, and now they're 1,000.
Yeah.
If you missed out on that crowdfunding, it's $1,000 on the secondary market, which is something to think about.
The hope is that since they have those molds, they might do a second release, but you're not
Battle
guaranteed
damage,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a G2 sail barge.
Yeah. It'll come with a Rancor key, a weeping Rancor key.
It'll be
exclusive.
hot pink. It'll have tiger stripes.
Oh, Tiger Force.
Yeah, tiger force for sail barge.
So for the sake of time, because we are running out, I want to open questions, like 3 or 4 questions to you guys, if you have any for us, and then I want to move back over to Toy Wizards, because we're going to do a spontaneous toy review, aren't we?
Oh,
Yes.
we can bust this out of the package.
Are you going to do that? That's one of the things we do on the site through our Facebook. You guys should definitely follow us on Facebook, Toy Wizards, because we do fun things like we do live news stream every Friday, and then we do spontaneous toy reviews either from home or at conventions for a toy we just bought, so that we can write it off or whatever. Does anybody have any questions for us? Do you want to come down so everyone can hear?
We've got a mic, so if you want
Yeah,
a
I have
question, come on down here, and we'll do a couple quick questions, and then we're going to do a
Yeah.
toy review.
We have time for about 3 or 4 questions, and then we're going to do our...
Erin, she's got the
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can hold that one, and then we can do our spontaneous toy review, which we're going to live stream.
Thank you. I was just wondering if you guys, or if Hasbro is going to continue with the weapons props, because the one idea I thought of was if y'all got the Power Sword, would you come out with the other classic Ranger weapons and let them combine? Because that'd be very interesting to have the whole set and then be able
that had come up in the Bandai meeting, and they said no.
But
That was Bandai.
Hasbro is well aware of the popularity of props. I mean, you can see with their own branding. Before they acquired the Power Rangers license, they were starting to do Marvel Universe props and helmets and Star Wars props and helmets. They know that there's money there, and if the fans show an interest, they are definitely going to produce things like what Bandai was doing with the Legacy line.
Okay, thank you.
Do you think in the next decade the legacy line? Do you think the legacy line will eventually continue on to post Zordon and Disney era Power Rangers like Iron Thunder or SPD?
You're asking if the new Hasbro Lightning figures will continue stuff that we haven't seen yet?
Well, I mean like the Morphers or the Megazords.
Bandai's going to, or Hasbro's going to release everything because they haven't done it yet. The whole point of them buying Power Rangers is to have access to all of this IP. that's a whole new world. They can make brand new toys because they know every one of you is going to buy a brand new toy of something, even if you already have one.
And if you look at the first assortment that they've put out, it's a mix of Power Rangers from different eras. You know, they didn't just do Mighty Morphin in the first, you know, there's ones from different shows. You know, they've got Lord Zed. They're looking at this, I mean, they're playing the long game. So they're going to do like Marvel Legends, where it's going to take you a while to build a team of Avengers. It's going to take you a while to build the Thunderbolts, because those characters are just going to come out in different assortments to keep the line alive. So I think that you're going to, you know, it's going to be a slow process, but you're going to get pretty much everything that you want.
All right.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
We can do both of you guys, it's fine. Yeah, you can both ask your question.
Just, yeah, go for it.
Do you guys think Funko Pops can dominate if they keep releasing Power Ranger related pops?
Reiterate that?
Can Funko dominate if they keep releasing Power Ranger related pops?
Oh, okay. His question is, will Funko keep dominating with pops if they release more Power Ranger pops? And I don't think Funko can stop making pops legally until they've made a pop of everything in the world. So
I think it's such a niche, personally. I talk to a lot of toy collectors who are super serious. I'm not saying that if you collect pops, you're not serious, but it is a niche. I don't think the average toy collector who specializes in vintage toys has a large collection of pops, although everybody has their exceptions. Everyone I know who doesn't collect pops has at least 3, myself included.
I have Tron pops, I'm ashamed to say.
I have Disney Afternoon pops.
There you go.
I don't own a single one.
Ow.
By the way, you gave me a pop.
I did.
Yeah. I've never purchased a pop.
All right, so that's
just from somebody who now is starting to have the disposable income to start a collection,
Good for you.
where would you suggest actually purchasing some of the older stuff? Is like apart from just like eBay, are there any places?
I tell everybody not to buy on eBay, because you don't know what you're buying.
Toy
Come
shows.
to conventions,
Toy shows.
look at those vendors, buy from somebody you can talk to, you can look at it, you can hold it in your hand, you can see the condition, and the hunt. Why are we so feedbacking? The hunt is what's great about toy collecting.
eBay is a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So is Frankenstein's.
We're a little far from Frankenstein's right now.
I did great at Frankenstein. I get great deals at Frankenstein's. I don't know what you're talking about.
We're
I mean, it is a hive of scum
Guys,
and
don't
villainy.
forget
but-
we're in Texas right now.
All right.
Oh, just put it on the table. Thank you so much. All right.
It's the phone.
It's the phone. All right. Well, I'm going to stand up in a second because we're going to wrap up our Toy Wizards panel with one of our famed spontaneous toy reviews. So we're going to start our live stream. I'm going to point at all you guys. I want you to scream real loud and show it how popular we are.
We know you're here for the turbo panel, but pretend you're here for the
That's not the way we're going to spin it. You guys are here for.
We're going to shout,
yeah, you
who's
guys are
ready
here
for
for us.
turbo, and then cut to our
Who's
live
here
stream.
who's here for a turbo Toy Wizard panel? All right, cool. So you guys game? Are you ready for our spontaneous toy review? Yeah. All right.
Alrighty. You hold the microphone.
1 second. All right. Toy Wizards are live from Power Morphicon Express, and we're doing a spontaneous toy review.
All right. So the toy we have in question is Cybertron Siege Hound, and this is one of my more favorite characters. He's a Jeep. My grandfather always had one of these old World War II Jeeps in the backyard. I loved it. So I always liked Jeeps. Here we go. We did not find this at a Walmart in Texas. We tried. I found one here from a local toy vendor. And he was lucky enough to sell it to me so I could explode it on screen. First off, the Siege figures are battle damaged Transformers. So they have a lot of little silverware.
When you say silverware, you mean forks and knives.
They come with a lot of forks and knives, meaning they have some paint apps on them to make them look battle damaged. This is kind of neat. I would do this with G.I. Joes and Transformers when I was a kid. I would take a silver marker or whatnot and maybe some paint, and we got our figure. The thing about Cybertron Siege figures, which is different from the other lines, is they have these tiny little holes in the arms and legs where you can attach other robots, other little mini-cons, other weapons. onto them to make them more powerful. I really like the size and scale. Price point is $20, what used to be $16 on a card. They're now a little more expensive. That's just the rising cost of toys. Damn, it's really nice. I've been trying to not get too much into Cybertron Siege figures, but can't help it.
You're gonna get into it.
It's already done.
The posability is so nice.
This is what they like. Aaron really likes a lot of movement, a lot of joints, a lot of flexibility in robot mode. I don't put my stuff in vehicle mode that much. I just love having robots on the shelves. This is fantastic. I need it transformed, and I think Ricky's the man for that job.
Well, we'll see.
What weapons does he come with, Scott? There's at least one piece that he comes with that I don't understand.
He's got a regular gun. He's got a tire that comes on as a clip, and then he's got another blaster that goes on to him in Jeep mode.
Thank you. I was wondering what the clip was. I was like, what
yeah,
is it?
the like extra tire is like a clip.
I had to confess to Scott that when I had the original Soundwave when I was a kid, I didn't realize that his Gatling gun and his other gun, when you took the little projectile out, were meant to be batteries that plugged into his back.
He was a Walkman, and they were AA batteries you just put in the back. This somehow went right over Aaron's head for 30 years.
Never made that connection. And then somebody recently told me, and I was like, Scott, is this true?
Yes. I was like, I knew
Scott's
that
like, I realized that right away.
It was like day one.
I always just assumed that the extra room on his back, I was just like, oh, that must be for some Japanese accessory that he originally came with that we didn't get. But
like guns.
Yeah.
that are shaped like batteries.
Which would make perfect sense, like into the back.
Ricky's working hard on this transformation. This is a blind transformation. This is what I do as well. I don't like looking at the cheat sheet. We have instructions down there. That's garbage.
Yeah, that's shit. No,
you got to figure it out it's like a Rubik's Cube with wheels. You know, you got a transformer. You need to really hands-on figure that out. And that, for me, that's part of the fun, because when we got these toys as kids, we didn't look at the instructions. We just started going at it till an arm flew off. Ricky's doing it pretty good. He's getting those things in there. I'm hearing clicking sounds that are not breaking sounds, and that's good.
The nice thing about the new Transformers, if you're not familiar with them, is that all the stress points are made to pop off. So if you're twisting it the wrong way when you're trying to transform it, instead of breaking, it'll just pop off, and then you can put it back on and try again. Which is something I really like, because I will get frustrated. I will break it.
Sounds like my Go-Kiger Megazord.
There should be the gun in the back spot right there. Yeah, it's got a little.
No pressure, Ricky.
So it's like a Humvee with the clip.
Yeah, put that tire on the back.
They make these things really hard to get out of the box. Like, who wants to take a toy out of the box? That's crazy.
I use fingernail clippers now to take everything out, because they've all got those little twist ties, and I just clip them. In half. I don't have time to turn that thing around.
All right. We have a transformed Jeep here.
Ricky.
I did it. Its Jeep mode is great. It looks like a Jeep. It's got some guns on it. It's got a little canteen. That's that clip on the gun.
Now, is this supposed to be a Cybertron form, right?
There's Cybertron. This is Space Jeep. I
Okay.
explained this earlier. It's like, how are they on Cybertron and have Predaking that looks like a Jaguar? It's a Space Jaguar. Okay,
That was good enough for me.
Yeah, that thing works. You want to take a look at that, Eric?
Yeah, because I haven't transformed mine. I kept it
Spontaneous toy review.
Oh, I really like this.
It's not a bad Jeep. It's a great robot. This line is hitting it on all cylinders. I'm going to give it 4 Cybertrons out of 5.
Yeah, I really dig it. It does look enough. It does look spacey enough to be a space Jeep.
It's Space Jeep.
I'm gonna buy into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well done, dude.
Here we go. That's Hound. We are Toy Wizards, toy-wizards.com. Thank you for tuning in online and in on the audience. We have a live audience for a show.
Oh, follow us on Facebook, Instagram,
And tell
the
everyone where
Twitters.
they can find your social medias.
Oh, we have all types of social medias. Lauren Stone, you have like 50?
That's Lauren with a Y.
Loryn. Yes, I am on Facebook. I am on Instagram. I am on Twitter. My writing is all over the internet. I've written for crack.com. I've written for #show, Nerdbot. Honestly, I am everywhere. So just Lauren Stone, and yeah, follow me, read my stuff. And again, I am co-running ToonCon in California with Scott.
I am Scott Zillner. You can find me on Facebook, rarely Twitter, Instagram. I show great pictures of food I'm eating and you're not. Toy Wizards, all those other shows I mentioned earlier. I don't have to do it again. But follow me on Instagram. I post some great stuff on Instagram.
You guys can follow me on Instagram and as well as Twitter, Ricky Lee STF.
You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Aaron Sparrow. I think on Twitter it's Aaron_Sparrow. You'll see me rant about comic books and toys on there. On Instagram, I'll post pictures of toys, customs that I'm working on, different casts that my friends and I are doing. We actually do 3D printed heads and accessories to expand your collection. And you'll see pictures of my bearded dragon.
For the most sincere flavor of snark, follow Aaron Sparrow.
Yes, exactly. All my articles contain a delightful amount of snarkiness.
Thank you so much for being here and waiting for the turbo panel to come up.
We hope that we were an adequate distraction.
Yes. We made that 45 minutes pass by like it was an hour and a half. Thank you for coming out to the show. Thank you, toy-wizards.com.
Right on, guys. Thank you.